Oh, dude. Oh, I called it Integra. What is going on, guys? It is Wyatt, and in today's video we are going to be putting in some work on the EK. But first I want to show you a couple parts that I went and picked up this morning from a buddy of mine, Nick and Andy. So huge thanks to those guys for meeting up this morning and letting me grab these. But here are the parts. We have a new, to me but used, full-blown dual pump hanger for the factory tank so that we don't have to sump it or anything. So we got that. It has two of the full-blown 340 pumps on it right now, but I will probably be changing those out for just some Walbro 450s. That's what was in the tank before on the DA build, so I'll probably just use them again on this. I only had one, but I can pick up another to put on here. And yeah, so that's really cool. Don't have to do anything crazy with the sump or nothing on the tank. I also picked up from them an AEM Fuel rail with a fuel pressure gauge in it. We are going to have to modify this a little bit, so I'll show you that in this video to make it work with the Edelbrock intake that is on the car. It also came with a AEM adjustable fuel pressure regulator, and they also had this line which is a -8 feed line from the tank. I just need to get the piece that goes from about here, and this will go up to the firewall, and then this will go to the intake on the motor. And then this is just a cleanable filter so that I won't have to run the factory filter. But yeah, so huge thanks to those guys. Some awesome parts, gonna make plenty of power now and keep the duty cycle really low on this build. Now, I know you're asking yourself like, yo, Whit, your motor's crap anyways, like you don't need dual fuelers for 400 horsepower. And yeah, I agree with that totally. The single 450 that is in the pump now is probably good to about 700 horse or so. You know, when I had it in there on the Integra, the thing was at 50% duty cycle and made 600 wheel horsepower. So yeah, the single pump is good. But if I can take some load off of the pump and also reduce duty cycle by putting dual pumps back there and a big feed line and an adjustable fuel pressure regulator, that's just gonna make everything a lot more happy. Also, if I want to self-destruct this block one day, give it all the fuel and all the boost, I'm gonna have the pumps to do it. As far as the car, I haven't done much since the last video, but I did do a little bit of work on it. So down here on the intercooler, you can see that it is now a back door instead of, you know, a side entry like it was previously. I ended up having to put that on just for space, but that's going to line up really well and allow us to go right there to that red cap and get to the turbo really easy. So that turned out really good. Not great, but really good for, you know, the amount of time I spent on it. And other than that, I've done nothing else to the car. Well, no, I did do a couple little things. I put this radiator in here. This is the radiator out of the DA Integra, and this thing fits really nice, and the stock fan bolted right up to it, you know, overflow or catch can, whatever you want to call it, goes right in the factory location, and it all looks really good. So I'm happy with how that turned out. And the nice thing about using the stock fan is it does have a mild shroud on it, so it'll pull good air through the radiator. And I can also use the stock wiring instead of having to wire in something like I did on the Integra. So let's go ahead and modify this fuel rail real quick. So when it's on the car and the fuel pressure regulator is bolted on there like it should be, it interferes with the intake manifold as it hits on the plenum. So today we are going to modify this so that we no longer have that issue. If the dang camera would focus. On the fuel rail itself, it's already tapped for 1/8 inch NPT, and all we need to do is get a 1/8 inch NPT to like 3/8 barb or something like that, and the rail will be good to go. We can just slip a hose on that and mount our fuel pressure regulator remotely, and then feed it vacuum and fuel and then our return line. As far as making the return or the regulator work, all we have to do is drill this hole out and tap it for 1/8 inch NPT. The reason I'm going to be doing that is because there's no real good way to make like a sandwich plate or anything for this, and it'll just be a lot easier and a lot more simplified if I drill this out and tap it, and then do the same like we're gonna do on the rail. So all we have to do is put a line between the two and we'll be good to go. So I'm gonna run over to the parts store real quick and grab the 2 fittings that I'm going to need to make the fuel rail work, and then we will start modifying that and see if we can't get at least part of the fuel system done today. So I just got back from the parts store, and to give you a better idea of what I was talking about, I picked up these 2 90s. They are both 1/8 inch MPT on this side and like 5/16 on this side. So anyways, one of them has to go on the rail and one of them needs to go on the fuel pressure regulator, so that I can mount this remotely and still put fuel between it so that it can regulate how much fuel is in the rail, how much pressure is. So what I'm gonna do now is drill out this hole right here on the regulator and tap it for 1/8 NPT so that we can thread that in there, and then we will, when it's mounted in the car, I'll have a hose that just goes between these two. So I ended up making a bracket for this fuel pressure regulator. I didn't record much of it because I didn't really like the first 2 designs that I made, and by the time I got done recording those, I was just pissed off. So I ended up making this one. It looks all right. In the morning I need to stop and see if I can get some smaller hose here, or decide if that's the size hose I'm gonna run. I don't know yet, but anyways, it looks pretty good, and I think it'll work a lot better than a stock regulator will, allowing us to adjust the fuel pressure. But that's all the further I'm gonna get on the fuel system for tonight, other than this shady business we got going on behind me. I wanted to test these pumps real quick that came on this full-blown hat. This is full-blown fuel pumps. They're both 340s. So they're in some old E85. I just have the line running over into the gas tank. I'm gonna grab a battery and we're gonna plug into these things and see if they still work or not. Well, this is either gonna end in a fireball or actually working, so we'll see. Well, it looks like I got a leak somewhere here. Looks like it's leaking out of this line. Well, that sucks. Yeah, there must be a leak in the middle of this line or something, because as you can see, we started spilling pretty good, which is no big deal. I can just get new line, but obviously it leaked out, or it rubbed through the line at some point. But as far as the pumps running, they seem to work. I'm not sure yet if they will hold pressure or not, but I guess we will find out later whether they hold pressure or not once they're in the tank. But they seem to be moving quite a bit of fuel, so that's a plus. It just drained this canister that was about 3/4 full, so at least we know that part of it works. It does suck that I got to get some new line though, but whatever, it is what it is. I can just get that stuff on eBay. I've had really good luck with the eBay stuff, and it's really cheap, so ain't no big deal. Unfortunately, it's getting pretty late, and I'm gonna call it a night on the Integra. So, oh, dude. Oh, I called it Integra. That's all the further I'm gonna get on the Civic tonight. Yeah. Well guys, it is the next day and we are headed down to Peterson Fluid Systems right now to go get the fittings for the fuel system. So hopefully they have all that stuff in stock and that we can start running the line and all the stuff that we need to do that. Well, $200 later, we have all of the stuff to run the fuel system for the car. It's really nice being local to Peterson Fluid Systems. You know, when I come here, they have all the stuff that I ever need in stock. And while it's expensive, it is all really nice stuff. It's all Fragola fittings, and now we have all the stuff to do the fuel system. So we're gonna head back to the shop and get this thing put in, and hopefully we don't need anything else, because this place is a good drive from me, or away from me. So hopefully we got everything in one run, but building a race car, you never really know. You're always gonna need more things. So let's go ahead and head back to the shop. So as you can see on the motor, this bracket looks pretty good. I need to slap some paint on it and, you know, finalize this hose here. But the bracket itself is good to go, and the pressure regulator is not going to go anywhere. On this edge of the rail, we have our fuel inlet. This is a -6, and it's going to run down on the firewall to this inline fuel filter, which has a -6 here, and then it'll be fed by a -8 from the full-blown Motorsports dual fuel pump hanger deal. The reason I decided to go with -6 is because it's what that rail on the car is designed for. And, you know, I could put a -8 fitting on the rail, but there's really no benefit because the hole is not drilled out larger than what a -6 could flow through anyways. So yeah, we're gonna run -6 for now. If we ever really go for huge horsepower, we can always tap or get a different rail and put -8 feed all the way up there. I also have the new line over here. I'm trying to figure out where I want to route everything, and I also need to build a new oil feed line for the VTEC head. Unfortunately, this one hits pretty badly on the intake manifold and is just entirely too long. So I have a bunch of spare -6 stuff in this box and whatnot, so I'm sure I'll be able to figure out a line, but I'm gonna wait till I pull the motor back out to do that because it's on the backside and it'd be easier to do on an engine stand. Got the car up in the air to remove the exhaust and try and figure out where I'm gonna run my fuel lines and mount my fuel filter. And I just realized while we're under here, we can go ahead and install the lower control arms that Tommy sent, and also the brace that goes in between here. So I'm gonna get the exhaust removed, and then we are going to remove those and put the new pieces on. Got the old exhaust out, and I'm getting ready to install these new lower control arms. I'm actually surprised these old ones came out without breaking any bolts off, so that's really nice. But yeah, we're gonna get these things put in and see how they look, and hopefully they fit pretty good. Once we have those in, I'm gonna start pulling this cover down for the fuel lines and trying to figure out where I want to mount my fuel filter. I'm thinking up here somewhere, and then being able to run my fuel line over there and up to the fuel rail. So anyways, let's go ahead and get these lower trailing arms installed, and we'll go from there. At this point, I'm not recording a whole lot because the battery on my camera is just about dead, but I do want to put this stuff in the video, so we'll record as much as I can until the battery dies, and then we'll just have to start a new video tomorrow. So I got the new lower trailing arms in. They fit really nice and look awesome up in there. So the next thing I'm gonna do is drop the fuel tank down, pull out the old fuel pump, and then we're going to look at how we have to, you know, get the right angle to the dangle to get this thing in there. I'm also gonna finish the wiring on these real quick and re-silicone them through this top hat so that we don't have any leaking going on. And yeah, so I'm gonna try and show you guys everything I got done before my battery dies. It's been a couple hours and it's taken so long because I had to make this stupid bracket. I ended up trying this thing in like 4 different places and couldn't find one that I liked or worked well. And then I finally realized I could spend 15 minutes, make this bracket real quick, and it would work out perfect. So the bracket's just some strap metal I had that I bent around this, put a little rubber insulator in here so it doesn't vibrate this housing too much, and just drilled through this K-member, or whatever you want to call it, and it seems to work really well. So now all I need to do is finish up the feed line on it. This is a -8 inlet, and it's going to have a -6 outlet, which will go to the fuel rail. And that just runs back. It's all mounted along here, and it goes back to that full-blown fuel hat that we just put in the tank. Unfortunately, I realized after I spent 2 hours working on a wiring harness for it that one of the pumps was bad. So one of them wasn't turning on, the other one works fine. So in the future, I'll either get another identical pump to this from Full Blown, or I will just put another 450 in there, which is what I put in the tank currently. It's just the single Walbro 450 that I had from the Integra. On the back of the car, I got the suspension done with these new lower trailing arms. Probably already said that, but these things look sweet. Gonna be a lot better, I guess, for more rigidity. I don't know, they look cool as hell though, so can't complain there. I'm gonna lower the car down and show you guys kind of where I'm leaving off for this video, and yeah. I think I mentioned it earlier too, but I did get this mount done for the fuel pressure regulator. Now all I need to do is get a piece of hose for it, and that will be all set to go. And then the fuel system will pretty much be done on the car. For anybody that's interested, I ended up running this factory feed line. This is what would feed your motor originally. I ended up running this as my return. So what I'm going to do is cut it back down here somewhere, and I'm going to use it as my return, so that the return line has a little bit larger, or it's a little bit larger of a return line and a little less restrictive. And then I'm going to use that -6 as my new feed line, which will go here. And then, like I said, the fuel system will be good to go. So that's all the more work I'm going to do on the Civic build tonight. I wanted to ask you guys to leave a comment. I need a name for this build, for the project, whatever. If you guys have a cool name, I think it's funny, I'll end up using it. So go ahead and leave those in the comments. Also, look forward to the next video. We're going to be pulling the motor out and doing some of the final fabrication stuff on the engine bay, like the traction bar that'll go up front here, and just some other little things, getting the mounts made for the intercooler and finishing up that stuff. But we're getting close. The motor's got to come out one more time, and then it'll be in for the final time. We'll be able to put everything on it and see what this thing will make for some power. I'm pretty excited. Hope you guys are too. But with that being said, this is the end of this video. I'm gonna go get some sleep. So make sure to give it a like, a comment, and subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.